Hi, this is my school, and today we're all wearing blue for those who suffer autism spectrum disorder. Autism spectrum disorder is a mental illness that 1 in 110 kids have.
The earthquake is hitting hard, the flood is bringing mud. Your home has been destroyed, the city's become a void. Sadness is your only motion, feels like an ocean.
We want these people to feel no different from us.
Just keep on flowing.
So please help us and break the bubble.
Go ahead with the whack. Just keep on going.
This is stage 3, and they're learning about somebody like Max, somebody with autism spectrum disorder.
Just keep on flowing.
And this is Miss Tamara.
When you lose a lot,
She has come to our school to help us get a better understanding of what autism spectrum disorder is and how we can help those who have this illness.
just keep on going. Just keep on flowing. When life pulls you back, go ahead with the whack. Just keep on going.
We all want to support those who have autism.
When life stops at a halt, and it seems at fault, just keep on going. Just keep on flowing.
My pop once told me that he'd be there to hold me, even through a big tsunami or an invasion by foreign army. He told me to never look back, or go ahead with the whack. Just keep on going, just keep on flowing.
When life pulls you back, go ahead with the whack. Just keep on going. Just keep on flowing. When life stops at a halt, and it seems at fault, just keep on going. Just keep on flowing.
ASD press conference. Let's start with Abby's group. Where is she?
We're going to ask Tammy. Tammy, is that hard to deal with ASD?
Not just for me, but more for Tori and probably her sister and brother. It can be very hard because they don't always understand.
How should we treat children with autism spectrum?
So that we learn to treat children with autism spectrum disorders with respect, with tolerance, and with understanding. It's about remembering that we're all different and it's awesome to be different, and having an ASD is just about being different.
Mara, how does ASD spread?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Because when we think of ASD, we think of ASD like a disease, is that right?
Yes.
But it's a bit different really, because it doesn't spread. And I suppose the scariest thing is nobody really knows what causes it. And that's why we need to do what we're doing today, and we need to educate people as to what it is, because it doesn't spread. And we don't even know when a child's born if they're going to have an autism spectrum disorder or not. Sometimes they find out when they're 2 or 3 when they start to talk. Sometimes they find out when they're 5 when they go to school. Sometimes they don't find out really that there's a reason they are the way they are till much later.
How does ASD affect you in your work?
Find it hard to do hard work? What's hard work to you? What about the way we learn at the moment? There's lots of groups going on. noise all the time? You find that easy or hard? Kind of hard sometimes.
And why do you need your own desk? Easier for you if you have your own desk, is it? Easier to learn? And she doesn't hear all the noises then if she's got her own desk.
Is there a cure for ASD?
The problem is, guys, to be able to have a cure for something, we have to know what causes it. So the very simple answer to your question is, no, there's no cure, because as yet we don't know what causes it. But as we continue to learn and we continue to educate people and we continue to research, hopefully one day we will understand what causes ASD and then we'll be able to cure it.
Why is blue for autism?
Well, that's a worldwide thing, and there's two things to understand there, is that there is a colour and there is a symbol. Does anybody know what the symbol is? Oh, it's a hard one. Yep. No, it's not a ribbon.
Is it the puzzle piece?
It is a puzzle piece. Very good. That's a great answer. See on here how we have lots of puzzle pieces?
Yes.
The reason why the puzzle piece, and usually the puzzle piece is blue. Blue's not a boy's colour and it's not a girl's colour. Blue's just a great colour. And the puzzle piece is about trying to find the missing piece to the puzzle that would explain to us what is going on in the mind of a child with autism. So every time that you see a blue puzzle piece from now on, what are we going to think about?
Autism spectrum.
Very good.
How did the autism spectrum disorder start?
How did it start? I suppose the most interesting thing for you to think about there is, when did you notice that somebody else was different to you? That's right, we can't. And it's a bit the same with autism. My very own brother was diagnosed with what was called hyperactivity disorder, which now some people term as part of the autism spectrum. He was hyperactive, now known as hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And my brother's 36, so that's a long time ago. And they were diagnosing children then. So it's been something that has grown, and as I said before, as we understand more, that's how we will be able to continue to learn.
How do they see it?
Great question. Give them a clap, guys. Okay, the first thing about autism spectrum disorder from a principal's point of view is that it's my job to care for every child, okay? So I can't exclude kids. I can't say this kid's naughty because they've got autism spectrum. That's not fair. You guys wouldn't want me to do that, okay? Particularly if it was you that it was affecting. But the next thing is Mr. Hawkins has to be fair, balanced and down the middle and say, well, autism spectrum disorder might have an impact on other learners in the class. And I have to deal with that and work out support mechanisms. Who's ever worked with Miss Jodie in the room? All of you, yeah? Hands down. Who's ever worked with Miss Lena in the room? I'm using the wrong surname, don't I?
Miss Eunice. Yeah.
And Miss Petrus. Okay? Hands down. That's a specially funded program that this school implements to have additional teachers' aides in the room. There's 4 adults down here at all times. Okay? And that's an example of where the school spends additional money and additional resources on making sure that your question's answered, on that the effect of autism spectrum disorder is not only managed, but look at today. Understanding and awareness raising doesn't come about because of me. Have a look at this lovely lady down there. Our mum forced this issue onto the agenda. I'm going to embarrass her and she's going to turn pink on camera. But I want to tell you guys that Tori Lee and Mum, Tammy, put this on the agenda. You know what she did, girls? You've asked a good question. She went home and started in Google. And Google would have led it to one thing, and one thing would have led it to another. Do you want to tell that story briefly?
I think it will come with frustration and not knowing what to do for the school and help you guys, I guess, in the classroom. I didn't know where to turn to anymore, so I Googled as much and anything I could on autism, and The one thing that kept popping up in my search engine was the Luke Foundation. And my first contact with Tamara was probably in tears. I was extremely upset and not knowing what to do for Tori Lee anymore in the classroom, to help her in the class and to help her to come to school anymore. So that was my first contact, was very much relating to the school and having her want to be in the classroom. And I guess being in the classroom so that yous weren't affected too much as well. That's why I reached out to them. There was many reasons.
Great answer. Okay, so that part of the answer I'll finish off by saying, girls, we've heard from Mum that a good school with a good principal and good parent support work with each other. So everybody at this table, the principal, the child, the P&C, the outside experts, the consultants from the Luke Frittis Foundation in Autism who come in and explain to us how to be better at this. Do you know that Miss Tamara is actually a school teacher? She's trained in being a teacher before she's gone to work for the association. Now, the mum, the child, the most important thing is you. The reason this school exists is you kids. Tori Lee and little Miss Casma up here, you're the most important things to us. And Mr. Bunkin, the teacher, does all of the implementation of all of the work in the school. So it's about all this working together. So it's a great question with a very detailed answer.
It's
Well done,
really,
girls.
really important that we stop for a minute and we acknowledge Mr. Hawkins. Because I can tell you that we contacted 65 schools to talk about going blue for autism and about making a difference to children in the classroom like you guys. And Mr. Hawkins, along with his P&C, his students, his teachers, his parents, has been an absolute powerhouse. So let's put a round of applause together.
How did Luke Frittis start the foundation?
That's a very personal journey for Luke Frittis. How many of you know which team in the NRL Luke Frittis played for?
Panthers?
Panthers, that's right. And I actually worked at Panthers for quite some time myself.
Canberra?
No. I'm not interested in anything else other than Panthers right now. Guys, what I want you to understand is the real reason behind why the Luke Frittis Foundation exists. Because this is really, really important. And it's the same reason you're sitting here today. Because when Luke and his wife Holly had their little baby boy, Cooper, Cooper was a beautiful, happy little baby boy. And then sometime around about when he was 18 months old, he was just a little boy, something changed. Cooper became very quiet. Cooper didn't smile much. And Cooper didn't learn to talk like you and I. And when Luke and Holly went to try and get some information and some help and some doctor's understanding, there wasn't much. Now Cooper's 14. He's a big boy now. And he's not like you guys. He struggles to be part of the same world that you live in. Luke Frittis Foundation was put together using Luke Frittis' name because he was an NRL star and everybody knew who he was then, especially for children like Cooper. So that people like myself who work for the foundation can continue to help parents like Tammy and like anybody else who rings me or anybody else who needs a little bit of understanding. And we run special groups for our children. We teach them social skills. Let me just ask a question. If you smile at the young man next to you, does he know that you're happy? Yes. Did you know that a child with autism might not really understand what that smile means? And that's scary, isn't it? So we run special classes to help those children learn those social skills. And we will continue in Luke's name and for all children like Cooper to keep doing what we're doing.